Hey, everybody, and thank you for joining our latest episode of the Live and Learn podcast, where we teach investors, sellers, buyers, and agents what to do in real estate and how to make lots of money doing it. Today, we have a dear friend of mine, Chris Cutter. He is the owner of Green Home Solutions, and he is my go to first call anytime there is the word mold.
Ooh, that four-letter word,
Yeah,
mold.
it has been something lately too. It just keeps coming up.
I know.
So,
More mold.
Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
I really appreciate it. And, what's different about Green Home Solutions? What do you guys do different?
Sure. So I think a lot of times when folks hear the word mold in a transaction or in a home, they get this vision of the old-fashioned remediation, right? Traditional remediation where it's rip and replace. It's a big project. It's gas and a match, right? A $60,000 project. Green Home Solutions takes a different approach. We're more scientific in our approach, right? So we use natural products and enzymes that break molds down, and a lot of times we can treat things in place without even having to cut them apart, right? So our impact is low, our cost is low, our efficiency is super high, and most importantly, we're not using products that are worse than the problem we're trying to solve, right? So if you have a mold problem and you throw a nuclear chemical in there to try and fix it, well, what have you really done to the environment, right? So some of the folks in the house can be impacted more by the solution than the problem, right? So that's really the big difference with us is we're
I love you're non-toxic.
yeah, yeah,
People can go in after you're done.
right,
No harm to children, no harm to pets, no
right,
worries, no warnings to my clients. And,
yeah,
there is peace of mind with that alone. That's one reason why
right,
I love you guys. Another reason why I really love using you guys is you've been the only company that I have seen that has been able to remove the look of mold staining as well. Usually, for an example, if you're in an attic and you have black staining on the sheathing, which is the opposite side of the roof
yep,
inside. That is unsightly and scary for
right,
people. And you guys come in, and most of the time, you can't even tell that it was ever there. I have no idea how you do that.
yeah, yeah. So it's
It's like magic.
that's the cleaning step in the process, and a lot of times, it's a pigmentation change in the wood itself as the mold is breaking down the wood. That's what it's doing, right? So traditionally, the inspector is looking for mold for structural reasons, right? Is the roof going to last? If there's mold, it's going to break down.
Mhm.
So as the mold breaks down that wood, it's changing the pigmentation of the wood and causing that discoloration. So in our cleaning process, we'll use a commercial grade hydrogen peroxide, right, which really gets in there.
That's it.
That's it. That's the secret. It's one of them. Yeah.
My
Um,
husband's favorite thing in the house. We have bottles of that
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, that in a little bit of light abrasion, we'll take care of that staining for you, which is sightly,
Just
right?
like a magic eraser.
Yeah, it's just like that, and that's
Don't give
great.
away all
Now
your
now you
secrets.
can't see it anymore, right? You can't see it anymore, but we haven't really fixed the problem. We've just kind of taken care of what you can see, right?
Right. That certainly isn't fixing the problem, but does make people feel better
Yeah,
instead
absolutely.
of just saying, yeah, we sprayed it. It should be fine. Boy, have we heard that a lot from
Yeah,
other companies. I think a lot of other companies too, like we already said, they use different chemicals. They also charge differently. I think they really, not everyone, you guys, but I think many certainly hit the homeowner over the head when they know that they need to remediate it.
right.
They know it's a problem. They know that many homeowners aren't even going to want to deal with it or go around and call to price it out. So I think it's really important that you know that a company like this exists, and all of our agents use you guys, and you, like I said, are our first call every time. So we had an instance. Let's talk about our latest
Oh, yeah.
um, situation, if you
Oh,
will.
that's a good word for it. Yeah.
We had, first of all, it was a for sale by owner. Okay. All of you who want to be for sale by owners, um, most of you can't do it. This happened to be an attorney that was doing a for sale by owner. I get hired by attorneys to sell
Right.
their
Yeah.
homes. There's a
Which actually
reason. There's a reason
they could be
why.
worse. They could be their own worst
Well, it
enemy.
was, and they
Right?
were.
Exactly.
So this attorney decided he was going to sell his childhood home, and we knew that they had remediated it. We didn't know who they used, what they had done. They said the basement was all set, but the basement smelled super musty. So my clients I negotiated an under asking offer with certainly a full inspection on a property of that nature. This is a young family, little baby. We've got
Right.
to make
Yeah.
sure we're delivering a
It's the
good
right thing to
home.
do.
Yeah. And so an inspection company came in. They actually had the detectors that quickly measure the mold spores within the air,
Right. Yep. So you
which
get
you
a spore
guys
count.
also test
Spore count.
after
Yep.
you're done with what you guys do. Yeah, the spore count. And it was a little bit intimidating to see the big machines come out. I think that's a newer machine that they've
Yeah.
got.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have been using that probably for a
Yeah.
while.
It's been a progression.
But I haven't seen it at inspections. This is one of my first time seeing it at inspections. So the home inspector comes out, they whip out this big machine, and they've got the bottles, and it's going to take 5 minutes. Everybody clear out, and it was a little dramatic,
Yeah.
but and of course that seems scary to a
Right.
buyer,
And that's
right?
a big part of it, right?
Um, and most of the time, it's not scary at all, right? I think the parameters for fixing mold or having it addressed in a home inspector's report is about 4 feet of anything. Is that correct?
Yeah. In terms of removal.
Removal,
Yeah.
what they recommend for
Yeah. So you
removal.
basically it's like a margin, right? Like
Yeah,
anything else. You want to make sure you have a margin of clean
yeah.
on both sides to be sure you've actually addressed all the issues.
Right. So they say, little spots here and there. I think 90% of homes have mold in them. Is
Yeah.
there that stat? Is that
It's,
the right stat?
it feels, I mean, visibly,
New
you're
England.
going to see, yeah, we're New England, lots of
Mhm.
seasons, lots of fieldstone foundations, lots of humidity,
Right.
right? So all the right ingredients for mold. I
Right.
think, what we're finding is from a transaction perspective, as buyers and sellers have become more educated and aware of mold and what it does to you,
Right.
and as inspectors have kind of tried to find ways to increase their impact, right,
Right.
with mold testing
Right.
and education,
Mhm.
it comes up a lot more often now in
Mm.
transactions, right? But the most important
Mm.
part is, to not sort of set off that fear alarm, right? So, a buyer hears the word mold, and that's the 4-letter word.
Mhm.
Let's run away as fast as we can. And the seller
Sure.
hears mold, and they're like, "We can't afford to fix this. We're already,
Right.
we're not making enough money on the sale of the house as it is."
Right.
And next thing you know, everybody's flipping out, and the transaction's off track, right? So I
Right.
think it's one of those things where with the right education and the right understanding of how you can handle it
And the right team.
simply and naturally, and without much impact at all to either side, and leave behind a better environment than you found when you got there.
Yeah,
It's
that the
it's
sellers can feel
right,
good about and that the, buyers can
right,
feel
yeah.
good about.
Sellers have no,
You guys even do, depending on what you guys are doing and the extent of it, you guys even warranty your
yeah,
work.
absolutely,
You
yeah. So
you do the air quality test. We have the before from the
yep,
inspector, then you do or if there was no inspection, they just brought you in, you
right,
do the air quality test, and then you show that it has
the
been
results,
removed
yep,
and the results. So,
yeah.
it's just
It
fantastic.
makes it
But back
easier
to
to not avoid it, right? Because there's a solution. It's not going to be the end
there's a
of the world for
solution.
everybody,
There's a
right? It's
solution
just
to
simple.
almost
There's a
everything.
green home solution. There's a green home solution.
That. I love that. I have seen homes that seem too far gone and
We've seen them all.
they've
Yep.
still been
Yeah.
okay. So,
Yeah. Peace of mind. Like I've seen way worse and I've fixed way worse. And I haven't found a house I couldn't fix yet. Knock on wood.
wow, that's a big
Yeah,
deal.
it is. It is. It really
I've
is.
seen some that I thought you can't
Oh, yeah.
fix.
I've walked into some, it's like black from front to back. Some of these bank owned
Yeah.
proproperties or,
You
the
can't believe
distressed
people
properties,
live
right?
that way. It's
It's
very
really,
sad.
yeah, it's a little scary.
So back to this
Yeah.
this house that we were dealing with. So it comes back, there's mold after the inspector did the test, and the seller is lurking around. He's eerily uncomfortable the entire time during the inspection.
Feeling shady.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing was shady, right? And
Yeah.
so the report comes back, and your favorite, the aspergillosis
Yeah.
and all these other types of mold that are toxic. It's like red, 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 red. For certain types, there are good molds. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
So, 4 certain types of toxic molds were found to be present.
Yeah. So all these,
So
yeah.
four types of mold were on the report, looking all super scary. Warning, 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 in red, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the buyer was nervous. So I called the seller and I said, "Can you send me what you've done already and who you've used already?" And it was like moldguyfromtown.com. Like, let's just call it what it is, okay? And it was not necessarily a professional invoice. It didn't really detail everything that they did. And they paid a pretty penny for it.
Right.
So I said, at this point, the buyers really want a second opinion to make sure that their 4-month-old baby's going to be safe.
Makes sense.
Very
Seems
reasonable.
fair.
And as an attorney, wouldn't you want that?
Yes.
Nonetheless, he did not want that. And he did not want to sell them the house anymore. He was scared of any type of liability that would have come from it.
Just crazy.
Crazy, scary, suspect, shady,
I mean,
all of those words
yeah.
all rolled into one. So
Okay.
we had them move on, and they actually just went under contract with an
Oh,
amazing house
That's good news.
with
See?
No mold.
Good things happen to good people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, I think a lot
I
of
think they're
times,
better off.
yeah, for
Far
sure.
better off.
I think a lot of times, sellers feel backed into a corner, right? They're trying to, they're afraid. They're
Mhm.
afraid of the mold. They're afraid of what it's going to cost to fix it the right way,
Yeah.
and it might tear the whole house apart. And so they try and find ways to get around it. Do things that are sort of
Oh, what do they
halfway.
try to do themselves?
Yeah, right.
What's that product they say? We're just gonna spray some.
Bleach. It's always bleach. Never use bleach. Ever.
Never
Never use
use
bleach. We'll talk about
bleach
that in a minute.
on mold.
No,
Never.
no, never ever.
And it's because
It's
there's a water
yeah,
content.
it's mostly water, right?
It's
So
mostly
we
water.
call it
So you're
shaving.
feeding it.
Yeah, we call it shaving the face. It's very satisfying. That black goes away really fast, and it looks
Shaving the
beautiful.
face. That's
Shaving the
funny.
face, the
Okay.
black, get the whiskers off there, but you put water into the roots, and I guarantee you, within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's gonna come back twice as bad as it was before. So
With
never
a
use bleach
vengeance.
ever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never,
yeah,
never. So
yeah,
no bleach, you guys. There is a chemical, I believe, that they sell at like Home Depot and Lowe's that's called a mold.
yeah. So
How do you feel about that?
I think so. Again, right? I always say to people, if the stuff they sold you at Home Depot really worked, I wouldn't have all my vans and guys in a business, right? So
Right.
you can certainly clean mold, right?
Yeah, if it's a small spot,
If you're in your bathroom and your bathroom always gets wet, and every once in a while you want to just go around and clean the mold you see growing there, that's normal and natural, and
yeah,
that's fine, right? But if you get into a real situation with a chronic dampness problem and a root system that's deep into the substrate and things are going on there, that's kind of beyond the homeowner do-it-yourself kind of project, right? So those products are really based for bathroom cleaning and spot treatment kind of things.
yeah, small
Yeah,
superficial.
exactly. So I think
Mm.
it's one of those things where it's not necessarily it doesn't work at all. It's just not necessarily made for the right for the things that we do for a living.
And again, I think that people think that when you talk about mold removal, it's going to damage what's there.
Yeah, yeah,
And we've had instances where we've sold new construction, new renovation, and there still happened to be a flag of mold present in the air,
yep,
maybe lingering from when they renovated.
sure,
And you guys come in, we're talking new paint on the walls, new
beautiful.
surfaces, new countertops, new
Yeah,
floors. And then, well, what about the chemical they're going to spray? You don't even know you were
zero
there. There's no
damage.
smell.
Right. Yep.
I don't know how you have no smell. There's no smell.
I can't
You
tell you all my
can't tell
secrets. I
you
can't-
cannot tell why you guys were there,
yeah,
at all, and
until you
it did
post test.
not ruin
Until you post
anything
test,
for you.
it's gone, right? So
Right,
yeah, it's
right.
it's very, and I think that's a big difference, right, between us and traditional remediation guys, right? So rip and replace guys kind of go through and they're kind of physically trying to remove all the mold, right?
Yeah.
So when you get an elevated count, their first instinct is to kind of start tearing things apart and finding the source, and we have to get rid of all these things. And
Mm.
but
They're just spreading it,
yeah, we're in air quality,
right? Aren't they
yeah,
just spreading it
unless they
when
do
they
it
do
correctly, yeah.
yeah, unless you tape
A
up?
lot of them should be using containment and things, but it depends on if you get hire the mold guy with the truck.
The
Who doesn't
mold
always-
guy from
yeah,
intown.com. Yeah, that
my
guy.
father-in-law did mold on the side, so he's going to come do it for us, right?
Mhm. Right. You
But
get what you pay for.
where we focus on air quality, it's not strange for us to come into a situation. We did a
Right.
project in the South End, a beautiful renovation of a townhouse there. It was a multi-million-dollar property, and the person was overseas buying it, and they said, I have mold issues. I'm concerned. And I said, it looks beautiful, but we should test just to be sure.
Mhm.
And it came back like 300,000 spores, like it was off the charts. And what we found out was the person went through and did the flip. They tore the place apart, never really dealt with the underlying issues, right? Rebuilt it all, cleaned it nicely, but stuff's still airborne, right? It's everywhere. It doesn't go away by itself, right?
Yeah.
So we came in, we did the test, and now they're flipping out. We have, we have to rip the whole place apart. We have to start over again. Can this person buy the house? They're mold sensitive.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm pretty sure we can take care of this. We'll do.
Even though it was already sheetrocked, it was
Yep,
already done
yep,
over,
exactly.
you guys still think you nipped it in the
Yep,
bud.
exactly. So we did our work, and
Fantastic.
we
That's a big
they
deal.
came back and they post tested, right? A third party post tested for us because they wanted to be sure.
Mhm.
And it came back with 6 spores, the number 6, which
Wow.
is just,
That's almost impossible anyway.
it's,
isn't
yeah,
it?
it's one of those, you open and close your doors every day.
Yeah.
You're going to get some mold in and out of the house,
Yeah,
right? But you want to be, at a acceptable level. But from 300,000 to 6, we didn't impact anything in the place. It
You
was,
saved that seller big time.
yeah, yeah. And the buyer really loved the house too. They wanted to buy it, but they wanted to know they were going to be safe, right?
Right.
Am I going to be okay here? And that's
Right.
the big thing for the buyers. They get really scared. They hear mold and they're like, I don't want to buy a house that already has mold. I mean,
Yeah.
my family's going to live here. Is it going to come
Right.
back? What's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So
And it's okay to call you back in a couple of years
Yeah.
and say, hey, can you test again?
Yeah,
Like,
so a lot of folks who, that are really nervous about it or have had experiences in their life previously where they're impacted by it,
right.
a lot of times they can kind of trick themselves into thinking, I think I have a sore throat. I should
Right.
probably just call. Happy to go out and have a look and, do some testing and check things out for them, make sure they're okay. And if there's a problem there, we can fix it for them. It's not, and they know we can fix it for them without throwing them out of the house for 3 days and tearing their house apart, right?
Right.
So it's not like it's a huge, scary thing to take care of. It's easy.
Right. It's funny. In one of my last podcasts, we were talking about some buyer beware stuff, and I had mentioned mold, and we were talking about that. And I had mentioned that I am convinced I am a human mold detector
Yeah,
because I
we've had this conversation
instantly
before too. We're the same.
you're the one who told me that I actually am because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I instantly feel it
Like,
in
do you
my
have a sore throat
throat.
right now? You're like, yeah, I do.
And my husband was like, "Woohoo,
I
you're
know.
crazy.
It's
You do
amazing.
not. There's no possible way
Yeah,
you could instantly feel
yeah,
or be reactive to
yeah.
mold."
No,
And I
it's
said, "Yeah, you
totally.
can if it's an allergy."
Yeah.
And then I got you on speakerphone and said, "Tell him, Chris." And he's like,
I get a lot of, team things where it's a husband and wife or, two people living in a place together. I can't stand the smell in here. It smells so musty. It drives me crazy. And the other person's like, I can't smell anything. I think you're nuts.
"Yeah,
Right.
that
And,
happens
and,
a lot."
and me and my partner Glenn were the same way when we first started. I'm super sensitive to mold. I have it in my
Yeah.
nose. I can smell it before I even walk inside the house.
Wow, that's
He can't smell a thing. Right.
seemed like the right guy to
Yeah.
own this
Yeah. So yeah,
business.
it's
Yeah.
great business. It's good and bad.
Mhm.
But over the years, as
Good and bad mold. Bad joke.
yeah,
Quote unquote.
exactly.
All right.
I'm the good mold. So over the years, as he got more and more exposed to it through his inspections and not taking care of himself, wearing a mask and doing things like I was,
Yeah, of
he became mold sensitive because
course.
exposure over time, your glass gets filled up and suddenly you're sensitive to things you weren't sensitive to before. You get sore throats when you walk into a room.
Hmm.
And it's just exposure to mold, right? It
Wow.
does impact you longer term. Even people that have no issues at all, sooner or later, your body says, okay, that's enough. It's time to warn you that it's time to take care of this.
Let's talk about long-term impacts of mold and what it can do. I'm not trying to scare
Yeah, no,
people, but
shouldn't be
it's
ignored.
there's some valid
Yeah.
reasons why you exist and why we test for this stuff.
Yeah.
So what kind of impact can it make on someone
Yeah. I mean, there,
on their health
There
and
there are some things. So, there are different types of mold, right? Some are toxic to everyone. Yeah.
aspergillus, your
So
favorite one?
Aspergillus is really more of a chronic bronchitis, chronic, sorry, you have to edit that one.
Mm.
A chronic bronchitis kind of thing. It's an asthmatic mold.
Oh.
It's sort of a allergic reaction, sore throat, itchy skin, burning eyes. It's a very common mold in basements.
Yeah.
It gives
Is it
off,
black or white?
it's sort of a white fuzz,
Yeah.
yellowy. It looks
Sure.
like dust or
We
cotton
see it all the
candy.
time.
Yeah. So people are like,
Yeah.
this,
Looks like effervescence.
yeah, exactly. They're
Almost.
very similar. It's
From
more of a
nature.
crystalline structure. This is more of a fluffy structure.
Okay.
But that's a common basement mold.
Mhm.
That's not impactful to everybody. It murders me. I grew up in a house where we had a finished basement, pool table, and a TV. We spent all our time down there,
Mhm.
and that basement was full of the mold that no one really thought about back then.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so sensitive to it now, right? And why I
Probably.
smell it so
Right.
strongly.
Mhm.
Um, some other molds, like the black molds, which are toxic, right? The Stachybotrys, the Cotomium, those kinds of things. They're more of a wood rot mold, like a long-term leak kind of an issue. That's effective. That affects everybody, right? So
What can
there,
it do?
yeah. So I mean, you're gonna have to at that point you want to get with a practitioner and start finding ways to get binders into your system. And
What kind of thing how can it affect you?
yeah,
Besides
so
just your burning throat and
yeah, I
your
mean,
eyes and all
ultimately, it can kill you ultimately, right? But really,
really?
it can. Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's been deaths. Actually, there was a case of a person who did a home renovation, their own home renovation. They tore down a bunch of walls, and they just got so overwhelmed with the Stachybotrys that it actually their blood toxicity got so high that it actually killed them. Right? So it
Isn't
can
that
happen.
terrible?
That's a super extreme case.
Yeah,
Right? That's
that's
not. We're really scaring the heck out of people now. So it
ugh.
very rarely gets that far. But there can be
Okay.
cognitive issues. You're tired. You have brain
Cognitive
fog.
issues for sure.
Why do I feel? Of course,
Headaches.
the symptom of everything is drowsiness, and we're all tired all the time, so it's hard to know.
Right.
But if you just don't feel right and things are going on, you're not sure,
Mhm.
just test and see what's going on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's simple ways to fix it. Also, there's really no point in exposing yourself. But the Aspergillus, which is a very common mold, you can get aspergillosis, and that's when a mold spore embeds itself in your lung or in your brain, and you actually start to grow mold inside your body. So there are lots of things that can happen. So I always tell people,
People aren't gonna sleep at
I
night,
know,
Chris, after this.
I know.
Oh
So
my
I'll walk into an
goodness.
inspection,
Like
and the
an
person walks over, and I'll say, it's just a surface. It's a surface mold. We can take care of this pretty simply. And they'll walk over and start brushing it off, and I'm
oh,
like, please
don't
stop.
don't
Like,
touch.
please don't touch
Yeah.
the mold,
Mhm.
right? You don't want to ingest all that stuff.
Lord.
Let me do that with my mask on and my
Stopped
all
using
my
the
all my
neti pot because
PPE.
they said if you use
Oh yeah,
contaminated water, you'll get a brain-eating
I
amoeba
know.
or something. I
It's
forget what
really,
they called it.
I like everything. I
Terrifying.
always tell people, everything can be terrifying, especially if you spend a lot of time researching it. So I give everyone a 10-minute limit. If you
Mhm.
have questions about mold and you want to do some research on your own, go on the web,
Yeah.
spend 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and then stop.
Don't
Because
go
if you
any
don't
further.
stop, you're going to live in a stainless steel house with nothing that's organic.
I would say too, like from an agent perspective, right? Showing a house that has mold, don't be weird about it.
No.
Typically 10 minutes in there, wash your hands, clean
Right.
out your nose
Right.
when you leave.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
short-term exposure is not necessarily, it's not great for the people who are living there, and you should bring it to their attention, right?
of
And there are
course.
lots of reasons why we should deal with it before you show the property, which we'll talk about
Of
eventually, I'm
course.
sure.
But those people get so used to it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't even know it's there
Well, I
most of
had
the time.
so early on, I had an agent I worked with that did a lot of bank-owned property, right? So
Mhm.
she and those places are always
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're left alone for 2 or 3 years, they're completely ignored,
Mhm.
and you might find front to back mold all over, and, we'd walk in and she wouldn't put a mask or anything on. She was a fairly new agent, and I said to her,
Sure.
"Hey, not for nothing,
This one's
it's
extreme.
just you and I, there's no one here. You really should be wearing a mask every time you
Mhm.
go in." And it was like 2 months later, I saw her again, and she said, Chris, it's funny you'd said that, and I kind of ignored you. She said, but now I walk into a house, I get a sore throat." Right? So it's like, yeah, your body's telling you this is not good for you. You really
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing this, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel it now. No, I'm
That's
joking.
right. Is there mold in the studio?
I think
You guys need a remediation?
everything's black. We wouldn't even know. It could be
Yeah, that's
all
right.
black
It's all
mold.
over us.
Um, so preventative wise, I have a situation where I have a flipper. I work with flippers in different areas,
Sure.
and I have a wonderful flipper in the Billerica Chelmsford area,
Mhm.
and he is purchasing a property to renovate and have us sell, and it's a wonderful collaboration with him every time. You actually met him. And so this one has mold in it. What we're going to do is as soon as it is emptied out
Mhm.
and brought down to the studs, we're going to have you come in
Perfect.
and spray it, certify it. So go that extra mile
Right.
to give upfront peace of mind to a
Absolutely.
client.
Yeah.
Now, some clients might see it and be scared of that.
Right.
But the facts are, it's the right thing
Yeah.
to do.
Because a lot of buyers, if they see, it was distressed property or bought
Yeah.
distressed, the
Yeah.
first thing they're thinking is, did you just paint over everything? And, what did you do here? Did
Right.
you do it the right way? Right.
Right.
And
And all my flippers do things the
yeah,
right way.
and
This
there's
one
both kinds,
goes
right? You can tell the
the
difference.
extra mile
Yeah, which is great.
tenfold.
But honestly,
It's a pleasure to work with him,
yeah,
to
and
be honest with you.
it feels good and it's the right thing to do, right? For
Yep.
the people who are buying the house and going to live with their family.
Sure.
It's just one of those things where it used to be something you had to avoid, right? So you get a $80,000 discount on the house because it's full of mold, because you got to burn it down and start over again, right? And now we're in that transition period where people don't understand, who we are and what we do versus traditional remediation, which is a huge cost.
Right.
And so you can buy those properties, the distressed properties, at huge discounts to
Right.
deal with the mold.
Right.
But then you call me in, and instead of spending 60,000, you spend 10,000,
Right.
and the difference is margin for you, right? But you've done the right thing for the buyer. You've done the right thing for yourself. The certification, the ecological reset certification says this house is free of pathogens. Feels great for a person who's walking in. You may see it was distressed, and now they
Yeah.
know it's been professionally taken
How
care of.
hard is it to look up that when it's sold that it
Well,
was
most
distressed?
buyers now, it's hard to, people
You
just know.
zoom right in,
People
you
just
see the
know. Like,
black,
I know I want to know. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like,
So I think it's wonderful that he is doing that. He's getting ahead of it. I think it's wonderful that a company like yours exists. Is there anything else that you think the consumer needs to know um, when they find out or discover there's mold typically
yeah.
in their home? And where is mold typically in a home?
Yeah. So, the most common mold is obviously the basement, right? That's
Yep.
the biggest issue, right? So I get calls all the time. I have this musty smell and I think I may have mold in my basement. And I say, well, do you have a dehumidifier? And if they say yes, I say, okay, well, are you running the dehumidifier? Because
That's part of it.
you can't
You
scare
have
them.
to
You
turn
can't
it
scare the
on.
mold. You have to actually
Yeah.
turn it on to keep it,
Yeah.
do you empty the dehumidifier?
Do you empty or do you have it draining into
Right.
something? That's really important.
It's really, and if they say, no, I don't have a dehumidifier, then I say, well, it's likely you have mold, because we live in a place where, there's just chronic dampness and humidity in
Yeah.
basements. And over time, no matter how clean you are, and no matter how well you take care of a space, if it's that damp that often, you're going to get some mold down there. Right. So,
Sure. I'd say
basements,
90% of basements
yeah,
around
yeah,
here.
it's really just, well, that's what they call it, the basement smell, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that there's actually no such thing as a basement smell?
Shouldn't be.
They shouldn't smell.
Right.
That smell is actually a VOC, right? And
Yeah.
it's mold in most cases, right?
Yeah.
Something organic breaking
So
down. So
must
yeah,
is mold.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It's just a basement smell.
Yeah.
It's like an old person smell. But the
Yeah.
house doesn't have an old person smell. The old people have old people smell.
Old people smell.
You
All
walk in the
right.
house, you're like, it smells like mothballs, and
But they might be moldy too, apparently.
yeah, it's
And
possible.
that's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
So it can come hand in hand,
Yeah,
apparently.
lots. I don't know. When I walk into a house, the smells are the first thing I notice about a house, right? And a lot of buyers are like that. So
Yeah.
if it has a weird odor, you want to know what the cause is, what's
Yeah.
going on there, right? So,
Yeah. If there's a lot of candles burning, be
yeah.
suspect.
Did they just bake cookies?
Yeah.
Is the basement freshly painted?
Yeah. All weird.
Yeah.
So certainly be suspect. From an agent perspective, I know that when I am looking at a property or when I'm going to go sell a property, I'm getting my butt up in the attic. I am looking at the sheathing. I mean, I am no expert, but I know what it is when I see
And
it.
most of the time,
When
it's
they say suspected mold, no,
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you because they can't tell you. The
yeah,
inspector can't
they're
tell
not
you.
allowed
I'm
to.
gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
That's mold, and it's okay. We're gonna fix it. It's no
That's
big
and
deal.
that's the biggest thing, right? I think a lot, and that's the what I talk with the agents all the time. I always say, rather than try and skirt around it or avoid it or be afraid of it, just make it. It's not.
Head on,
It's literally not a big
tackle it
deal.
head
Like I
on.
said, I've never found a problem I couldn't solve. So just say, I got a great guy. He'll come here and take care of this. This is no problem at all. And that's it.
Yeah,
It's
Chris, to
true.
know that you've never found a house that you could not fix and remediate
Yes. If you love
is
the house,
like
right? I had a guy who was out in
it's
Amherst.
almost an advantage to the
It's
buyers.
it's a huge
Don't
advantage.
walk, just get
No,
it
I
taken
mean,
care
honestly,
of. Yeah,
yeah, maybe you get a better deal, right?
you
But
might
you know a great mold guy, so you have no problems. And it's not, I'm not just
handle it yourself and then call Chris.
yeah, that's right. Buy that
You
stuff
know,
at Home Depot, then
get
call
a
me to fix it
discount.
after.
Right, right.
Yeah. No, it's so it's one of those things where if you love the house, we can find a way to make it work, right? We can manage it, we can fix it, and if we can't, if it's if it's a basement issue and it's always wet down there are ways to manage that dampness too, right? There's ways to encapsulate the wood so it doesn't get damp, and commercial grade dehumidifiers to keep the air dry. There's all sorts of things you can do. So,
Hmm.
there's really never a reason not to buy a house when it comes to air quality.
I'm buying stock in Green Home Solutions.
That's how I bought the company, right?
Right? I'll tell you why with the new home inspection laws as
Oh,
well.
I've
I
heard.
think that
I've
you
heard.
are going to
I
be,
am very excited.
I hope you remember me when you're
Uh,
famous. Rich and
I
famous,
just,
my friend.
we need to get the word out there as fast as we can to all the agents, right? So they understand what it is that we do and how we do it. So,
Every
because we,
time I share my book of business, my jewels,
yeah,
as I call it, my mold king, like I if they grow too big, I don't want them to forget
I
about
would
me.
never forget about you. You
All
know that.
right,
You
good.
know about
Well, I think that wraps it up for today. I think you guys know that you should be calling and getting in touch with Chris Cutter over at Green Home Solutions. It's greenhomesolutions.com,
correct. Yep.
right?
Or 1-800-Solutions, which makes it's really easy to remember.
That's a great
It's
solution
it's
for a phone
fantastic on a
number
billboard as you drive by. It's like I can never. Oh, it's 1-800-Solutions, right? And that's what we do. We solve problems where we try to do it as simple as we can.
with solutions.
Yeah, with natural solutions.
Literal. We could go on and on.
It's great. We're solving all sorts of problems.
Chris, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you being here. It means the world to me. And Chris, I have to give you some credit too for my own home that I owned.
Right.
Chris called me after treating this house one day and he said, they're going to be selling it. You got to get your butt over there. This house is special. And we've been there ever since
Yeah.
and we absolutely love our home.
It was
So
very. It was.
we have an indoor pool, right? Indoor pools
Yeah. Well, I mean, so
with
the goodness is
mold,
you got a good mold guy, right? So
instant mold.
you're the right person to buy the house because you knew it would never be a problem. Because if it was, I'd just come fix it for you.
One call does it all. 1-800-Solutions.
So if you have an indoor pool, give me a call.
Yeah, for sure. This is very typical to have a mold problem
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
with that if you're not
But
regulating
we manage it, right?
humidity.
You manage it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to do
It's
you have the
never.
right
It's,
dehumidification in the room,
that's right.
and
That's right.
you get through it. And
There's
my
always a.
husband has it down to a science now. It's
He's
very
very.
good. You walk in my house, you don't even know there's a pool
Yeah. See,
attached
it's
to it.
perfect, and there's never been a problem we couldn't solve.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
So again, Chris, I owe so much to you. I am so thankful to you and your friendship. And thank you so much for being here today. And I hope all of you have listened. This is an important one to certainly listen to and know what to do. And next time you're down your basement, pull that couch maybe away from the
Oh
wall
yeah.
and see if anything fuzzy is growing there, anything black or white. And if it is, you guys should know what to do by now. Thank you so much for
Give me a call.
joining us today. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks so much.